Hey everybody, it's Jordan here. Welcome to What About the Game. Today I'm going to be talking about Dimension Drive on the Nintendo Switch. Another eShop release, another shooter. It seems to be a genre almost synonymous with the Nintendo Switch these days. Not that I'm complaining, I've become quite the fan thanks to the myriad of choices available. Dimension Drive is trying something a little different though. This vertical shooter is about multitasking. What makes Dimension Drive unique is a dual battlefield which you need to quickly teleport between in order to progress. Yes, you have to fight on two fronts and it adds a whole new layer of thought to the standard shooter gameplay. It also completely melts your brain into a bubbling, gooey mess. Starting on one side of the screen, you can quickly flick between them. While you're generally in the same environment and area, enemy patterns and danger zones are in different places. Where in one screen there may be a nice safe haven, the same place in the adjacent screen may be filled with lasers and hordes of enemies. You control Jack, a strong female pilot, the last of her race. Her home destroyed by a genocidal alien race wanting to wipe out every last planet from existence, made oh so more enjoyable by the fact of a dimension drive, allowing them to continue their war machine almost perpetually. It's up to Jack, her robot assistant Vera. Now if you're from England, Jack and Vera double act will mean something completely different, but I'll let that slide, and her super powerful ship the Manticore, also capable of dimension switching. They have to save the universe. Or should I say multiverse. While the story is somewhat interesting, I did find myself losing interest after the first few levels. It was nice that they tried and they made some really gorgeous comic book style screens, but I just wanted to get into the game. There's a lot of talking, no voice acting, at least after the beginning, and the static nature of the screens didn't hold my interest much. I would have preferred something a little more animated. I think they could have followed Tachyon Project style where the screens were a little more dynamic. A nice touch, you can actually completely turn off the story if you just want to go straight into the action, something I very much appreciated. That's what I like in my shooters, no fluff, just get me blowing up bad guys. The gameplay is conceptually brilliant, fighting enemies on one side then switching to destroy those popping up on the other, using it as an escape route when things get too hectic for you, helping you choose your battles. The concept is great. The problem is that imbeciles like me will have their brains explode as you try to keep track of two screens at the same time. The developers could have gone for something run-of-the-mill where both screens were completely opposite of each other, but instead they share very little in that regard. Yes, sometimes things are mirrored, but more often than not there can be something equally dangerous in the same place. You need to constantly keep track of what's going on in both screens, and assuming everything will be fine if you swap over could end in disaster, and probably will. At times it can become more like a puzzle game. That's not always the case, but in instances, one panel can affect the other. This is easily explained with the switches that open doors. Hit a switch on one side, it opens the door on the other. It doesn't make sense as far as science goes, but it definitely makes sense for gameplay, ramping up the intense action. You only have one standard attack, no special bombs or anything. This attack also has a charge which depletes if you hold it down and can only be recharged by picking up green orbs after defeating enemies or by switching dimensions. This means shoot wisely, especially if you have a power-up. Don't waste it. It's an interesting mechanic for sure and it definitely stops you from staying in one dimension for too long. If you completely run out of energy, the only way you'll get it back is if you switch. Intermittently you may pick up a power-up that can increase your attack power, usually giving you a wide shot. This is a must-have in my opinion. Scattered throughout the stages are some data cubes. Usually you'll see them in some rather precarious position where you'll have to cheekily warp in and out to pick up before being crushed by something. These are very useful as collecting enough of them over the course of the campaign will unlock different standard shots. You'll definitely want to collect them to try them all out. The end of each stage presents a boss battle. Now, the phrase boss battle is often used incorrectly here. Sure, there are some big beefy guys at the end of the stage you need to take out, but there are times when it's more of a quick escape rather than a fight. Giving credit where it's due, it's great that they varied it up, even if some of them aren't quite so great endings. Some of them felt flat, but many of them were exhilarating experiences. There are only 13 stages, but my word will it take you a while to get through them. If you haven't quite grasped it yet, Dimension Drive will test your brain reflexes, multitasking and awareness to whole new levels of frustration. Keeping track of two different fields of play, both of which are filled with hazards and dangers, fighting the same boss on different attack cycles between the dimensions, it's just absolutely mind-busting. almost to its detriment. I know for a fact some of you will hate the game for this, others will love it. There are 4 difficulty modes: normal, hard, extreme, and insane. In all honesty, the default normal setting was enough for me. Having to wrap my little mind around the dual battlefield was challenging enough. I didn't even bother trying the harder difficulties as there was just no need. I feel most of you will be in the same boat, but it's nice the developers have given something to those who crave a true challenge. Normal difficulty gives you 4 shields as well as 3 lives. Hard is pretty much the same, although there is no jump collision warning. Extreme mode has no shields whatsoever, while insane follows its name very much in the fact that you only have 1 life and no continues at all. Yes, good luck with that one. As you may expect from the setup, it's a game that's ripe for 2-player co-op. In this mode, 2 players share everything from lives, bullets, and screens. It's absolutely hilarious as you both struggle to get your brains to function fast enough. I played for a solid 2 hours with a friend of mine and it was glorious, although we did end up getting stuck at the exact same point I did while playing the single player. It doesn't seem to make it any easier. If one of you dies, you both die. If you find the single player frustrating, maybe you'll find solace with the co-op as you can both laugh at how crap you are. It's great. The artwork has gone for a comic book style, the PR has gone for a video game meets comic book angle, but even though it does look fairly nice, I'm just not completely seeing it. The character designs are nice and some of the static screens for the cutscenes look lovely. The environments themselves are okay, but nothing exciting or too colourful. Overall, Dimension Drive is a really fun and unique concept that is wholeheartedly welcome in the shmup genre. It has mind-bending gameplay that's incredibly tense and challenging. It shines as a single-player game, and in my opinion, exceptional as a multiplayer game, something incredibly difficult to do. And yeah, talking about difficulty, there is the caveat that you could find this too difficult, and it will probably frustrate those who can't get their heads around the dimension swapping gameplay. There's no shame in that, to be fair, just bear that in mind before you click that purchase button. Even though I do recommend Dimension Drive, prepare to have your mind reduced to a bubbling mess. Okay guys, if you've enjoyed this review, be sure to like and subscribe, that would help me out so much. You can read the full review of Dimension Drive at whataboutthegame.com, and you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you want to. All the links are below. Thanks guys, bye bye.